This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means? It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Black Friday week starting November 21st.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, there is a lot to love about living here. Our beautiful parks, our stunning skyline, our contributions to potato products, and the many dipping sauces that make them so divine. But we're not for everyone. Today, we're with a few friends from Pittsburgh City Paper talking about the 13 types of people who might not make it here in Pittsburgh. And stick around after the interview. CityCast CEO David Plotz is going to be joining us for a conversation sponsored by Luray Caverns about a huge cave system near the Shenandoah Mountains that is worth a road trip. It's Monday, November 18th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. It's a CityCast City Paper crossover extravaganza in here. I'm with City Paper editor Ali Tracta.
Hi there.
And audience engagement specialist Stacey Rounds. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So you all created this list of 13 people who ain't going to make it here. What inspired the list?
One of the things that I love about an alt weekly, that we are so lucky to have here in Pittsburgh is that, we do a lot at the same time. We are always, covering really serious news stories. We're uplifting marginalized voices, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time. And sometimes we just feel like chewing gum. And this was one of those days when we came up with this. And we have that ability to have a little bit of fun. And, what we really like to do sometimes is just come up with ideas like this and work together on them and make them what, we hope is actually good and a fun quality read and something that people actually relate to and think is funny and is kind of on point. And so we came up with this and we just decided to go for it. And the whole staff worked together to put it together. And we had a ton of fun doing it.
I bet. Yeah. So it was y'all. It was Rachel Wilkinson, Colin Williams, and Amanda Waltz. I mean, were y'all calling each other are through some of this? Like, are these behaviors that you identified among the group?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think some of them in different ways.
I mean, Stacey, are you a born and bred Pittsburgher?
I'm not, but I am a born and bred Pennsylvanian.
Hey, that's something. How long have you lived here?
I've lived here 5 years.
So long enough to be able to identify some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
And also know where you fit among them.
Correct.
Ali, what about you? Born here?
I was born here. I was born and raised in the East End. I'm now back living in the East End after a period of, 15 plus years of not living here. So
boomerang.
Yeah.
Are there any that you were like, that might have been me in a past life?
Oh, absolutely. Well, for example, people who need to drive on a grid ain't going to make it here. And that's definitely in some ways me, in the sense of, I've lived in Chicago, I lived in Los Angeles. Both are at the very least grid cities, much more so than we are. And I actually found my way around there. I used to think I didn't have a good sense of direction. I actually have a perfectly fine sense of direction, but I just learned to drive here and was born and raised here. And it turns out it's just really hard to navigate the city. And still, I use Waze a lot more than I'd like to admit, but it's just very easy to make a wrong turn, cross a bridge, end up on the wrong side of a river.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it's like a 20-minute mistake. It's not a short thing to have made the wrong choice. Or I think what Waze is really clutch for is the construction. Because
true.
You can know exactly how to get there, but that doesn't mean it will work today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, there were not as many deer in my life many years ago. I know, Stacey, you can speak to that.
Yeah. So one of the categories is people who don't want to live in a community with deer.
Yeah, that was something of a come to Jesus effect for me as well. I mean, growing up in Erie, we obviously had some, quite a few, and then I lived in Denver for quite some time, and we had some out there, and elk and moose and all that other stuff. But I was not prepared to have 14 deer coming in and out of my yard all the time, and just the massive amount that just swarm around Allegheny County. So at home, we have a structured routine with when we let our dog out and, everything else to try and mitigate, any kind of incidences with the deer, like as much as possible, and to kind of allow them to live in peace and like poop all over my yard and do what they do, but allow them to do deer things while we do people things and live sort of harmoniously.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't matter where you live either. Like you can live in the country, you can live on the busiest street in the city of Pittsburgh with a fence.
Yep.
Does not matter.
No.
If they want in, they're getting in.
Absolutely. And if you can't beat them, join them.
Do you like to frolic through the Bloomfield in the dark?
I'm nervous about the ticks and so forth. However, they're kind of just like our little outdoor pets.
They are. I tried to like Disney princess my way into like the deer fold. And
that's kind of how I feel about Northside raccoons. Like, they just live different over there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like we've jumped straight in. But tell me a couple more types. I guess one that you didn't write, Stacey, that you thought like, yes, absolutely, you are not going to make it in the city of Pittsburgh.
100% Colin's blurb about people who don't like or think Mr. Rogers is creepy. I was like, time out.
I didn't know that was a thing. Do people think Mr. Rogers is creepy?
I think that we are born and raised, or at least trained, to understand the fact that he is a national treasure and a hero, but I don't know that everyone necessarily feels that way outside of this city. He's a family member here.
Yeah.
I mean, I was born and raised, folks who listen to the show know this, I was born and raised in Tennessee. And so like nowhere near here. I came here for a job in my early 20s. I didn't think he was weird. I mean, I was a PBS stan from my earliest days.
Yeah. I don't know how Gen Z feels. They might feel differently.
They might. And I think, the like Tom Hanks, as Mr. Rogers, people may have had like some like thoughts or feelings about that. I loved him personally, but yeah. And I think maybe people are conflating Mr. Rogers with the Mr. Rogers show, because I will give it to people. Those puppets were creepy. Those puppets were all kinds of creepy.
I mean, they were a humble set of puppets. I will grant you that. They have evolved though. Like Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood is adorable.
It's so adorable.
It's like a really cute and clever, I think, interpretation of what the modern incarnation of some of those not amazing looking puppets could have looked like with some different craftsmanship back in the day.
Yes.
People have to remember that this was, it was like the 1960s or 70s when those puppets were actually like made and put out there. So, I don't know if they ever changed or were like recreated throughout the years. I honestly don't remember. I do remember watching that show curled up on my dad's lap and getting really excited about it as a kid. Aww. But just the same way my son is with Daniel Tiger. So anyone who thinks he's creepy needs to get out of Pittsburgh immediately. I'm with Colin there.
Allie, what about you? What's one that really speaks to your soul?
I don't know if it speaks to my soul, but basically one that I realized was very true was one Amanda Waltz wrote, which is, if you are not comfortable bumping into your exes, you're going to have a lot of problems here, because it is really true that Pittsburgh in many ways is just a small town. And not only is it a small town, our neighborhoods are small, and it's, if you date someone, I think they're in your life forever to a degree, because we all kind of run into everybody everywhere, I think, and that includes your exes. And I think that that's just a cautionary tale. You better be ready. If you're dating in this town, be ready.
Well, I feel like too, like it's so easy to not just run into them, but like everybody in the world seems to have some weird Pittsburgh connection.
Yes.
My college partner from solidly 18 years ago married a Pittsburgher, now lives a mile away from me.
Well, of course, because if you marry a Pittsburgher, you will live here. Yeah. That's in the contract. I mean, that's so many people. I mean, I feel like I meet people all the time who are not from here, and it's, oh, how did you move here? Oh, my wife is from Pittsburgh. Oh, then of course, it's like automatic that you're going to move here. So
yeah,
that brings a lot of people in.
Today's show is brought to you by Handmade Arcade. Here on the CityCast Pittsburgh team, we love shopping small and local, and every winter you are guaranteed to see all of us at Handmade Arcade's annual holiday market. It's going down this year, December 6th and 7th, and you've got to put it on your holiday to-do list. Our crew has picked up all kinds of unique gifts there, like gorgeous handmade wooden cutting boards, a crocheted hat that makes you look like a cute little brown bear, ornaments, art, jewelry, candles, handbags, prints, even a calendar once with monsters like Godzilla taking over national and local parks. Like, it is the best. This year's market will feature over 275 makers, plus free activities and live demonstrations like beginner ceramics, glass blowing, and screen printing. Again, that's December 6th and 7th downtown at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Tickets to shop at the main event are free, but you do have to register, or you can be a VIP like me and shop early without the crowds. That's Handmade Arcade's Friday night preview party or during Saturday's early birdie option. Get all the information and your tickets at handmadearcade.org.
Stunning stalactites, stupendous stalagmites, flowing limestones frozen in time, formations that are bigger than most houses. Luray Caverns has so many jaw-dropping marvels, you have to see it to believe it. And after the awe and wonder of the caverns, explore local history at the Shenandoah Heritage Museum. Get a hands-on lesson in geology as you mine for gems at the Gem Sluice. See the oldest operating car in America at the Car and Carriage Caravan. And take a look at the simpler life on the streets of Toy Town Junction. For almost 150 years, families have been unlocking all the must-see wonders of nature that you can discover at Luray Caverns 365 days a year. Plan the perfect holiday adventure your whole family will love at luraycaverns.com.
I want to talk about another one just because I feel like it has been central to a City Paper experience for a while. People who aren't down to cry at Arby's need to just get out of town. I feel like that's been a running joke in City Paper for like at least a few years. It's always on the best of Pittsburgh list that y'all publish every year. I'm curious, like why the McKnight Arby's? And I wonder if there's anywhere else you would recommend crying in the city of Pittsburgh.
Well, so the best of list, that's all crowdsourced. So, you know, we're taking it from our readers that this is the best place in town to cry. And as a person who lives in the North Hills, I can tell you that that is a very sad place. And I don't blame anybody who wants to go there and cry. And there's several reasons you could cry there. And I've heard some stories, you know, like the day that they didn't have the meats, I would cry. If I went into an Arby's hungry, expecting a roast beef sandwich and they were like, we're out of roast beef, like I would literally cry everywhere.
Honestly, that option never occurred to me. I was imagining something much more existential.
It probably is.
I think it's all things. You know, if you are having a crisis, I think you should just drive to the parking lot and cry. Or maybe, you know, you get there and you just find yourself sad. I think everyone can have a good cry for whatever reason there.
Yeah, we're approaching, or for some of us in holiday shopping season, and Ross Park Mall is right there. It's so easy to overspend. And if you have, and if you know your credit card bills are coming and they're going to be tremendous, you can always just stop at that parking lot on your way back to have a good existential spending crisis cry.
I feel like I hope that y'all are starting something with that. Like, I kind of want you to have like a QR code on one of the light poles there or something. Be like, are you here on the recommendation of City Paper to cry? Please let us know.
And maybe people could find each other.
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the eye contact from vehicle to vehicle. Like, are you too here to cry?
I love that.
Give them the, you know.
It's like Grindr, but for crying in a parking lot.
I do take umbrage with one of yours. I think that people who say sports ball absolutely should exist in the city of Pittsburgh. Because I feel like it balances everybody who's truly obsessed with the teams, you know?
I think that's fair. And I think that, you know, there's so much to our city beyond our sports teams. And so I think that's fair. I think our reasoning behind that was simply that even if you're not a huge fan of sort of the big three, black and gold, that's fine. It doesn't have to be your life, but you got to respect it. You know, you can't be one of those people that's like, football's a waste of time or whatever it may be. I think the idea that, you know, you have to just kind of be open to understanding that sports is going to be a priority for a lot of people here. And if it's not yours, that's totally fine, but it's not going anywhere.
I also think it offers every resident of the city of Pittsburgh an established uniform or color palette. Yes. Even if it's not really like in support of one of our teams, you can always wear black and gold here and no one will bat an eye. You can really fade into the background with that color palette.
You really can. And that's a beautiful thing.
It is.
There was one I thought that was like had kind of a note of like a recommendation, like a how to enjoy your community more. And that was about being handy. Like if you're not handy, it's
Yes.
difficult to exist here. But Colin Williams, his write-up suggested like if you're not, then go make friends with people who are.
Yes, we are building community. I think that that's a very important thing. And, you know, actually, Colin is very handy himself. I am not handy at all. And I realized that he really did have a point. I should probably watch some YouTube videos, but I'm not going to. I'm just probably going to rely on other people. But, you know, now more than ever, that's what we need, right?
I mean, I feel like that's what Nextdoor and Facebook and like just your friend group are for, is to be like, hey, I have this problem. I don't know how to fix it. Someone come help me. More often than not, I feel like it's my friends that are like, oh, I can change out your sink. No problem.
Oh, those are the best friends.
They are. You got to have a guy.
You do.
What about this? Can I add one? Because I think I have a 14th. People who like the sun maybe ain't going to make it in the city of Pittsburgh.
See,
Tough one.
I grew up in Erie, and there's a lot more sun here than there.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I think we are the grayest of any city in the U.S., but it's probably over a certain size.
It probably is.
Which is the only reason we would beat Erie.
Yeah. And like I said, I also lived in Denver, so you get 330 some odd days of sunshine there. And
So you're spoiled is what you're telling me.
kind of, but you also, you're closer to the sun. So anytime the sun's out, you're going to get burned. And you also have fires and hail and, you know, all this other stuff.
So I think you're one of the people that will be fine in Pittsburgh because you don't like the sun that much.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I like a rainy day.
At least we know what we're missing. So when the sun does come out, we can be extra appreciative,
That's
right?
so great. You do cartwheels.
Allie, Stacy, thank you all so much. Again, if you're interested in checking out the 13 types of people in Pittsburgh who probably ain't going to make it, you can go to pghcitypaper.com.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And don't go anywhere. In just a second, we've got a segment sponsored by Luray Caverns. The CEO of CityCast, David Plotz, is chatting with Bill Huffman, Luray's director of marketing and PR, about this amazing cave system that is open all year and so much fun to explore.
I'm David Plotz, CEO of CityCast. One of the true natural wonders of the Mid-Atlantic and Appalachian region is Luray Caverns, a huge, mind-blowing, gorgeous cave system in the Shenandoah Mountains. The caverns are always 54 degrees, so in miserable summer, it's a blessed relief, and in miserable winter, it is also a blessed relief from the cold. And in spring and fall, it's surrounded by just about the most beautiful scenery you can imagine. The foliage there is stunning. I went to Luray Caverns as a school kid. I took my own kids there. I visited just last year with a group of friends. It is a special place, and if you want to get out of the city, Luray is the place to go. I am joined by Bill Huffman, Luray Caverns Director of Marketing PR, to talk about one of the region's true wonders. Bill, welcome to CityCast Pittsburgh.
Thanks for having me, David.
Bill, Luray Caverns is one of the world's most incredible cave systems. What are a few of the highlights or a few places you love?
Well, I really love Dream Lake. It's the largest body of water in the caverns, and it is an optical illusion. It creates the illusion that the pool is really, really deep, but it's actually very shallow, only about 18 to 20 inches deep. It's a mirror of the ceiling, so it looks about 6 to 8 feet deep, so you can just get lost in that reflection.
It is very cool. I concur.
It's just amazing, yeah. And when you see a little water droplet hit, it kind of breaks the illusion. You're like, wow, that's cool. And I also really like the throne room. It is a dramatic room. It's home to our fallen stalactite, which fell about 7,000 years ago. I can promise you nothing's going to fall if you come and visit us. It is full of stalactites, and it's almost countless in that room. There's just so many beautiful formations. It's really stunning.
True fact. True. It is amazing. What about the organ? That to me is one of the miracles of Luray.
It really is. The Great Stalagpipe Organ is the largest musical instrument in the world. Its home is in the Cathedral Room in Luray Caverns. It uses stalactites as the musical notes. So when you push a key on the keyboard, a little electronic impulse is sent to this little mallet that taps the stalactite and produces musical tones. It's all transferred back to that room. The stalactites cover 3.5 acres. So you're actually standing in the world's largest musical instrument.
That's amazing. And I think we actually have a clip of the organ. Let's take a listen to it. One of the things that I like about Luray is that it's kind of for everyone in the sense that cave is an anxious word for some people, but Luray Caverns are very comfortable.
They are very comfortable. We have such large rooms. You don't really feel claustrophobic. It's well lit. All the walkways are paved. We have a new ADA accessible entrance that we put in 2019. And so that allows people in wheelchairs, electric scooters to come in. I do recommend having a strong person or two to push a wheelchair through. There are still some inclines and wet areas in the caverns. And the caverns itself isn't exactly ADA compliant, but the walkway to get in and out is perfect grade for that.
And this is just for my girlfriend. There are no bats.
There are no bats. It's a closed cave system, so no bats inhabit the caverns.
And Luray Caverns is not just caverns. What else do you get for your admission to Luray?
Sure. Our admission is a great value. Not only do you get the Caverns self-guided tour, but we also have a car and carriage caravan museum on site, which hosts about 140 different items related to transportation and 75 restored vehicles. They're just gorgeous. They go up from carriages to about the 1940s.
What's your favorite of the vehicles?
Well, my favorite has to be the 1930 Cord. It is a beautiful car. The lines are just absolutely amazing. It has a unique color, too. It's kind of seafoam green and then has this aqua trim to it. So it makes a statement.
That sounds very South Beach.
It really is. And also included in the ticket is our Shenandoah Heritage Village, which is a recreation of a small 19th century farming community and kind of gives a history of the Shenandoah Valley.
So when I have gone out to Luray, from D.C., I've done day trips, but I've also spent weekends and long weekends and even longer out there. The region is just a very rich place to go, isn't it?
It really is. We have the Shenandoah National Park. We're about 9 miles from the central entrance to the park and the Skyline Drive. It's just a beautiful place to come relax. And we also have the Shenandoah River. You can canoe or kayak down the river or float down the river. It's all just right here and amazing.
And there are cute towns all around as well. So it's a very pleasant place to go in all respects.
Absolutely. Luray downtown is just a quaint, cute little place. So you come and have some great food, do a little shopping. It's wonderful down there.
Bill, where can listeners go to learn more about Luray Caverns and to get tickets?
Absolutely. You can go to our website, luraycaverns.com, and purchase tickets online, or you can purchase tickets anytime at our main ticket counter. We never sell out.
And you guys are open 365 days. So I went actually on Christmas Eve one year.
Absolutely. We're open every day of the year, and we welcome visitors all the time.
Bill Huffman of Luray Caverns, thanks for joining us on CityCast. Check out Luray Caverns at luraycaverns.com.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. You can always reach us on Instagram in our DMs. We're at CityCastPGH, or leave us a voicemail or text. We promise we will not pick up. We're 412-212-8893. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, I actually have a neighbor who lives behind me who's a handyman. So I just kind of like, hey, Jordan, I need help with this. So that's a big plus.
The best neighbors right there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a marker of knowing that you are an established Pittsburgher is when you start to have a guy for various things, or one of your close friends is like a handyman or something like it, or a car mechanic, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you know who to go to and you can make the recommendation or hoard that recommendation for yourself.
Yes, sometimes you can't share those things.
That's when you know you've really made it here.
Absolutely.